you're talking NBA basketball, there's levels to this stuff. Of course, you got the big club, the Raptors, and then you have the Raptors 905. And the 13th overall pick this season was Gradey Dick, someone who, judging by our conversation in the first block, his services are really needed. Gradey Dick, a sharpshooter coming out of college, expected to, I don't know what the expectations were. Fans were really high on him. Coaching staff, other players keep reminding us, to mitigate your expectations, really understand that the NBA is a big jump for a teenager. But he went down to the 905 and given an opportunity to get some game time minutes, get some more shots. The numbers weren't impressive to start. He had a couple rough games, but rounded into form with a 7-14 outing against the Maine Celtics. Sherman, let's talk about your expectations for Gradey now. He's practicing with the team today, speaking, but really he's kind of been a lightning rod center point for conversations around this Raptors group and their need for shooting.
Yeah, I think, as people that cover the Raptors, we're used to players going down to their G League team and having success right away.
Right off the bat. We're spoiled.
And it translates to the next level for this organization. And Gradey had a rough start. That's okay. It's okay. He had a rough start. He finished well in his last game. But at the end of the day, it's the reps. You've got to get the reps. And when you're getting the reps, even though it might not translate immediately, at some point you feel that it's going to translate. And you're right. He comes into this league known as a shooter, a guy who can light it up from three. And this team needs that. So the spotlight and the focus and the microscope is on it even more because he's not shooting the ball as well. So it's a tough situation. However, I think sometimes you got to go through the grind to get the glory.
Yep.
And I think he's going through that now. And hopefully at some point he'll get to the point where with the big team, he's making shots. He's helping this team from the three-point line because they need it. I mean, we can't even hide it anymore. They need some shooting on this roster.
Put that on a T-shirt. You got to go through the grind to get the glory?
Shermisms.
I'm just saying.
Get some merch.
Sherm's terms.
Get some smirch.
Some smirch? Wow. Okay. All right. Let's dig into it.
Anyway, Grady. Okay. It's simple economics. Supply versus demand, right? Similar to what you said, exactly what you said. The Raptors need three-point shooting, and we were promised that this guy was going to get it. And
the prince who was promised.
And people are impatient. We are in a time where if I want an ice cream sandwich, I can order it right now to this studio because that is the world that we live in. And so when people aren't developing as quickly as we would want them to, or they're not going to be bringing this skill set to the table at the level with which we had hoped, it's going to be a problem. I think one thing that doesn't get talked about enough with some of these young kids, these prospects, these draft picks, is where they're from and where they are now. So he's from Wichita, Kansas, population 650,000 or something like that. And he comes to Toronto, and who knows who he came with. It's a culture shock. Things are really different. Exactly. Doing commercials, all out in the mix. And then also they're like, we love that from you and we want you to be a character, but where are your points at? It's like we, again, have a short attention span. We are impatient, and I think that he's falling victim to that a little bit. I think that he'll round into form. Obviously, the Raptors saw something in him. They scouted him. They drafted him. But, again, sometimes these things just take a little longer to pan out.
Now, the constant argument is that shooting percentages average out over time, so you don't want to pull any small sample size and then extrapolate from that. But there has been this conversation, did they change his shooting form? And that's kind of, the Raptors have rebuffed that and said they didn't do anything. They may have tweaked some things, but they didn't. But for a guy who was exclusive, who kind of blossomed as a shooter and had so much success, what is the transition, Sherm, to the next level? You're a guy who wasn't known as too much of a shooter, became a shooter late in your career, but is it?
Ouch.
We've had this conversation off air. You talked about it.
But did he lie?
That's an ouch.
But did he lie?
But I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
But what comes with that transition? How difficult is this for him right now?
Well, on that level, I can't imagine how hard it is. I mean, you're talking about the biggest and the brightest lights. And, this is a league where everything you do is scrutinized. Everything is under the microscope. They've got a number to tell you what that number means.
Yeah.
That's how deep it goes here. And I think for Gradey, when you come in and you're considered a specialist in a certain area, when that doesn't happen, people forget about the other things you may bring. Even in a situation where you see him put the ball on the floor, create a shot for somebody, who cares? You missed the last three shots. That's what you were here for. You're not doing that.
And that's kind of exacerbated by the need for shooting on this team.
100%. That's the microscope I'm talking about. So I just think for him on this level, It's taken a bit of time. And when we say time, it's 20 games in?
It's early. It's super
really
early.
And I think sometimes we get caught, and the flow of the season, some of the losses that has transpired, it kind of makes you look at it and say, where is it right now? It's 20 games in.
Placing the blame maybe in the wrong place.
Let's let the kid continue to develop. He hasn't even cut his teeth in the league, really.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not as though, like, theoretically, he's not going to make and break their season.
Yeah.
He can contribute to some success.
Yeah,
That's the ideal, but it's not like we're going to go to the NBA championship if Gradey hits 3 more shots.
Isn't it great that
Right?
the organization doesn't think like fans do?
Throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, they've got a plan for it, so they let the plan play out and they don't panic. And sometimes fans can be a bit panicky when it comes to not seeing what they want to see.
Well, the man of the moment is Gradey Dick, and he spoke with the media post-practice, so let's hear from him now.
It felt great. I mean, like every game, that first kind of up and down, you're kind of, take a deep breath. But then after that, the butterflies are gone. Those good nerves are gone, and you're back to playing basketball. And it's one of those things where, if you're going hard enough in practice, it's kind of what you're used to in the game. So that's what I try to do is every rep, I want to go as hard as I can. When you do that, then it kind of makes it easier when you're in those game time situations.
Did you find the level significantly different? Basketball or snowboard? Was it like how would it compare to your college experience?
Yeah, it was great talent. I mean, it's going to be different, than college just because of, you still have the size of the NBA court, all the rules of the NBA and stuff like that. But I mean, the guys are playing just as hard, because I feel like everyone has something to prove, and including me. I want to prove as much as I can, but when everyone's in that situation, it makes a really competitive game, and it's fun that way. So I liked it.